Why now? Why under this administration? Why months before this key midterm election do you think Justice Kennedy is saying, I'm done?
Yeah, Brooke, it's a great question. I think we can only speculate, but I suspect Justice Kennedy took a look at the calendar and realized that if he pushes this off until next year, perhaps even 2020, we're back into the possibility that his seat might be held open until there's a Democratic president, perhaps even a Democratic Senate. This is Justice Kennedy being faithful first and foremost to his Republican politics and to ensuring that his successor is going to be nominated by a Republican president, and if things go presumably according to plan, confirmed by a Republican Senate.
Talk to me a little bit more about how he's this conservative centrist. He's considered the court's swing vote. He was appointed by President Reagan back in 1987. When we talk about how he had this swing vote, and he had the swing vote with the travel ban decision just yesterday, can you run through a couple of other major decisions of the Supreme Court where he played that key role?
Yeah, Brooke, it's hard to think of major decisions in the last decade where he didn't. Ever since Justice Sandra Day O'Connor retired in 2005 and was replaced by Justice Alito in 2006, we've really had these two pretty solid four-justice blocks of conservatives on the one side, progressives on the other, and Justice Kennedy the closest to sort of either side. So sometimes he would side with the progressives. That's how we got decisions like the Obergefell ruling in 2015, which held that there's a constitutional right to same-sex marriage. Oftentimes he would side with the conservatives, as we saw, Brooke, especially not just yesterday, but this term. Of the court's 19 5-4 decisions this term, 14 of them were the conservative majority, and Justice Kennedy didn't join the lefties in a single one of those 5-4 cases. So I think from his perspective, he had done his work. He had accomplished what he set out to do, and it was time to clear the way for, a younger, perhaps more energetic successor. But the other thing, Brooke, and I think it's important not to lose sight of this, it was understood that the president was going to have just about a free hand when it came to filling Justice Scalia's seat, because almost no one he would have nominated would have changed the court's ideological balance. Replacing Justice Kennedy is a completely different conversation. And so I think one of the really big questions is going to be whether any of the moderate Republicans, someone like Senator Jeff Flake or Senator Bob Corker, or even insofar as he's able to participate, Senator John McCain, are actually going to exert some preference for another centrist in the ilk of Justice Kennedy, or whether there's going to be a lot of pressure on the president and Senate Republicans to use this as an opportunity to move the court firmly to the right by replacing Justice Kennedy with someone quite to his right ideologically, of the mold of a Neil Gorsuch.
So what about Steve's point a second ago, though, that, you have this conservative centrist in Justice Kennedy, and when he's gone, would they, and how much input would be taken from more moderate Republicans on Capitol Hill, right, to replace him with someone who's more centrist, or would they go farther right, as perhaps President Trump would like?
Well, I think President Trump makes up his own mind on these things. And, he's really concerned about the base. You saw that in the immigration debate. You saw that on the travel ban. You see that in almost every decision that he makes. And I think that he's going to be thinking about his base and his legacy when he looks at the direction of the Supreme Court. Any president would think about his legacy, by the way, not just Donald Trump. But Donald Trump pays an awful lot of attention to the people who got him elected. And so those who are thinking like you might want a more moderate swing vote on the Supreme Court, Donald Trump can surprise us all, but I wouldn't think that he would actually do that. I think he would want more of a sure thing and less of an Anthony Kennedy.